Come thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful, may we still thy goodness prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of war fall silent, feel our love grow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us find ourselves in union, help our hands tell of our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
Welcome to this online service of Neshoba Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Beth Lefever, pleased and privileged to serve as the minister of this congregation, and I am so happy that you have joined with us this morning. Our opening words are from the beloved American folk hymn, What Wondrous Love. The words are by Connie Campbell Hart. What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. Let us be together in worship. And Chip Jermyn will light our chalice.
We ignite the flame of the chalice in the light of truth and understanding, the warmth of community and love, the fire of compassion and commitment. Join me, please, in the affirmation of covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Good morning. Today I have another story about a favorite character of mine. You remember Jamaica? This is Jamaica's blue marker. Jamaica closed her eyes and thought about her picture. Mrs. Worth always said to think first, then draw. Jamaica opened her eyes and drew a tree on her big sheet of paper. Then she drew leaves falling from the tree and colored them yellow. Jamaica, Mrs. Worth said, could you please share your markers with Russell? He doesn't have any. He never has anything he needs, thought Jamaica. But she said, okay, even though she didn't want to share her markers with him. Russell brought his paper to Jamaica's table and sat down next to her and grabbed her blue marker. Jamaica picked up her brown and orange markers to finish her picture. She didn't pay any attention to Russell, but after a while she peeked at his paper. Russell was making squiggly circles all over his page. We're supposed to draw a fall picture, Russell, Jamaica said. Who says? Mrs. Worth. Don't you ever listen? I don't have to. Russell reached out with his blue marker and made a streak across Jamaica's picture. Russell, stop, Jamaica shouted. But Russell scribbled all over Jamaica's yellow leaf tree. Mrs. Worth, Jamaica cried, Russell wrecked my picture. Mrs. Worth hurried over to their table. Russell, did you do this? She held out Jamaica's picture. Mrs. Worth couldn't get Russell to say, I'm sorry. He had to go sit down by himself and work on spelling until art was over. Look what Russell did. Jamaica showed her father and brother when she got home. I tried, but I couldn't make another one as good as this. When she looked at the ugly blue squiggles, she had to swallow hard not to cry. Russell's a mean brat. Did you tell Mrs. Worth what happened? Her father asked. Jamaica nodded. Russell can't use my markers again. I shared them with him because he didn't have any. He never has what he's supposed to. But that's no reason to be mean. No, her father said. Russell shouldn't have messed up your picture. The next time they had art, Jamaica was glad that Russell wasn't sitting at the table next to her and sharing her markers. But at recess, Russell threw sand at her and chased 2 second-grade girls and had to go to the office. Before he came back, Mrs. Worth said, I would like to tell you something. Can you keep a secret? Yes, Jamaica shouted with the rest of the class. Friday, we're going to have a going-away party for Russell. His father got a new job in another town, and they're going to move over the weekend. I thought you might like to make some cards to say goodbye. That way Russell can have something with him to remember us by. Mrs. Worth passed out paper. Then she showed everybody how to fold the paper to make a card. Jamaica didn't want to make a card for Russell. She was glad he was moving. Then he wouldn't bother her anymore. She put the paper in her desk. At supper, Jamaica said, I like living here. I like our house and my room and the tree out in front, and I like my school too. I'm glad you do, said her mother. I wouldn't want to move, said Jamaica. Who said anything about moving? Ossie asked. Russell's moving. Lucky you. Now he won't be messing up your pictures anymore, Ossie said. I wonder how Russell feels about that, said her dad. Maybe he's upset. Has he said anything? Russell doesn't say anything. He just gets in trouble, she said. Russell hadn't come to the classroom on Friday morning. He was with his mother in the office. Jamaica looked at his empty desk. Next week, Russell would be gone. He wouldn't be at his desk ever again. She decided to make a card for Russell. She got out the blank card and her markers too. But just then, Mrs. Worth said, "Who are my helpers this week?" Jamaica raised her hand. Jamaica, would you collect all the cards and put them in Russell's desk? Brianna and Thomas, I'd like for you to clear the activity table to make room for the cups and plates. Jamaica went from desk to pick up the cards. She put the whole stack in Russell's desk. As she closed his desk, Russell came in with his mother. The party started. They played games and ate cake, and Russell opened his desk and took out all the cards. "Look, Mom, everybody made a card for me." Not everybody, Jamaica thought. She took the blue marker out of her marker bag. Then she ran up to Russell. "This is for you, Russell." She handed him the marker. "You can use it at your new school." "But you might need it," he said. "You like to draw. You draw the best pictures in the class. What if you need to color the sky?" "Someone will share with me," she said. "Thanks," he said. "You're lucky. You get to stay here." Now Jamaica knew how Russell felt about moving. "I wish you didn't have to move," she said. When Jamaica waved goodbye to Russell, she noticed that his mother was holding all the goodbye cards. Russell held up the blue marker and waved it at her as if he'd won a prize. "Goodbye, Russell. I'll miss you," Jamaica said, and she meant it.
Our offering words are from the African American spiritual. "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm going to let it shine. Building up a world, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine." In this spirit, let us make an offering that our church may continue to shine brightly, especially today in our currently murky world. I have 4 very brief readings today. My first is from Jeremiah 9:4. "Let everyone be on guard against his neighbor, and do not trust any brother, because every brother deals craftily, and every neighbor goes about as a slanderer." And from Micah 7:5, "Do not trust in a neighbor. Do not have confidence in a friend. From her who lies in your bosom, guard your lips." And from the author Anne Rice, "You can sow the seeds of distrust everywhere and lose yourself in an overgrown field." And from author Connie Curbs, "The superior weapon of choice to fight ineffective, unwarranted distrust and fear is a commitment to believing in others coupled with a charitable heart." While I have taken the 2 biblical readings out of context, and at another time, an exploration of the context might be worthwhile, I am saddened and disturbed by the messages of distrust they convey. And I have to wonder if religion contributes to the tribalism and division among human beings. Okay, I'm kidding. Of course it does, and always has. Jewish and Christian divisions, divisions among Buddhists and Muslims and Hindus, divisions among the various sects within religions. It goes on and on. Humans are social beings, but then also we like to socialize with those we know, those we believe share like values and beliefs, and similar life habits. And so tribalism is normal and natural, but if we want to speak in evolutionary terms, however well it may have served us in the past, it does not serve us now and hasn't for a very long time. Tribalism seeds the ground for one group of people to capture, imprison, and exploit another, for cruelty and violence and apathy to thrive, for shameless greed and materialism to flourish elbow to elbow with homelessness, starvation, and want. It excuses us as human beings from wanton selfishness, self-centeredness, and indifference. It excuses us from seeing, from trying, from putting ourselves out there for the common good, for the good beyond the tribe. I have always believed that prejudice, callousness, and insensitivity rose up out of fear and misunderstanding, which, let me be very clear, does not fully excuse it. But I've always thought that anger and hatred were born of fear, and recently had an experience that strengthened that belief. So allow me to share with you the story of Squiggly, the skink. Since I have been recording services from the church, I've usually had someone here helping me. At first it was Christy Hogan, and now it is usually Elaine Orland, and I have been grateful to both of them for their assistance. But a couple of times I recorded myself with no assistance and no one else in the building. One of those times, I approached the light closet at the back of the sanctuary to turn on the lights, and just as I got to the door, I saw something I thought might be a rodent tail slip under the door into the closet. I'm not fond of rodents, so paused and then kicked the closed door, hoping to scare it further into the depths of the closet and away from where I had to stand to turn on the lights. I pulled open the door and scanned the floor to make sure the rodent wasn't nearby. But then in the front corner of the closet, I saw it. Not a rodent at all, but some kind of reptile. And I am generally even less fond of reptiles than I am of rodents. It had the front part of its body in the corner. It was breathing, but it was not moving. I couldn't be quite sure what it was, so I took out my phone and took a photograph of it. I sent the picture to Walt Holmes, Building and Grounds Chair, and to Christy to show her that she had left me alone by deserting me to record by myself and left me alone with this creature. Just kidding, Christy. I got the lights turned on, the closet door closed, and went on and did my thing. I checked my texts afterwards, and Walt had responded that it was a skunk. I thought he was messing with me, but it was that pesky spell check. What he meant to say was it is a skink and that it was harmless. I'm from the north. We don't know from skinks. Christy, in the meantime, had sent the photo to someone who knows about reptiles and also texted me that it was a skink and it was harmless. So I made my way carefully to the door, gingerly opened it, noted the skink still in the corner of the closet, and hurriedly turned out the lights and left. The next day, I Googled skinks, did a lot of reading and picture looking, and determined that they not only were harmless, but that they ate insects, and that some people make pets out of them. The next day, when back at the church, I wandered down to the sanctuary to see if the skink was still there, certain that it would not be. But it was, in the same corner, seeming not to have moved at all, but clearly still breathing. Oh no, what to do? Since it hadn't moved, I knew it was in distress, and having gone to the effort to learn about them, I knew it wouldn't hurt me. So I knelt down to see if I could encourage it out of its corner. I discovered then that it was thoroughly stuck to a gluey paper insect trap and completely unable to move. I pulled the trap skink attached out of the closet and tried to gently push the skink off the glue. It rolled over toward the edge, but became stuck on its back in the glue. I took it outside and sat on the curb and kept trying to roll it off the glue paper, hoping not to kill it in the process. I finally succeeded, leaving it on the pavement next to the curb. I knew it would not survive there, so with just a bit of thought, decided to fashion some kind of skink house for it. I got a large plastic box, a storage box, put some grass in it, and a shallow bowl of water, and managed to get the skink into the box as well. I kept him in my office for that afternoon, checking him regularly. I periodically dropped a few drops of water on him, mostly so he would know there was water, and considered taking him home for the evening. It had been stuck on the glue strip for 24 hours, and I didn't have much hope for its survival, but if I could help it, I wanted to. If it weren't for us humans, it wouldn't have encountered such a deadly glue strip. I finally decided the car ride home would further traumatize him, so I left him in my office. The next morning, I went out and after a lot of effort, caught an insect to feed the skink and headed back to the church. But alas, when I arrived, the skink had stopped breathing. Now, I love most critters, at least those I'm not afraid of. And I felt that somehow I had a responsibility for this particular critter. The world is a hard place, but this skink was dead because of his interactions with us humans. Besides that he had survived in the glue for 24 hours and then in my silly little box house for another day made me feel responsible for him. I saw him as a skink of courage. Throwing him in the dumpster, therefore, just did not seem appropriate. So after much thought, I put him in a tiny little paper bag and buried him in the memorial garden toward the back. Afterwards, it felt important that I give him a name. Squiggly came immediately to mind, so Squiggly he is. Now, in my defense, I think I put in my ministerial search packet that I was fond of critters, so if this story puts you off, you can blame your search committee. But as I considered my little friend, the skink, it began to carry a far greater meaning for me, an object lesson that I could apply to the world as I experience it, and as I think others experience it as well. I realized how much I feared this unknown reptile thingy that had entered my world through the church, and how because of that fear, I loathed him. As I tried to record my service that evening, I kept imagining its skink siblings crawling up my pants leg. Later that night, my dreams were filled with skinks and snakes and reptiles. But once I learned about skinks, reading about them and watching a YouTube video of a young boy who makes pets of skinks, once I learned the truth and the reality of this at first loathsome little thing, I no longer feared him. I no longer loathed him. In fact, I wanted to help him. I wanted to help him survive and then, of course, to thrive. I really wanted that. And I thought, wow, if only I could apply this lesson to the larger world. There are people who look different from me, and who may act differently, and who at first may frighten me. Rather than figuratively recoiling and running back to my tribe, maybe I could pause and get to know them, learn a little about them. We are all companion sojourners in this world, each of us trying to live our lives, each of us trying to make our way. Maybe if I got to know the other, I would not only cease to fear them, but perhaps even become invested in helping them or being helped by them. Clearly, this is true. We've all had experiences, limited though they may be, that tell us that this is true. But getting to know skinks, getting to know those whom at first we fear, takes effort, must be an intentional act, must become an intentional way of life. But we could choose to be intentional about it and how it might enrich our world, how it almost certainly would ease some of the distress in our world. So I invite you all to reach out to a squiggly in your life, to make an effort to get to know someone who is different from you, and see how it enlarges your world and your worldview. I am grateful to Squiggly. Did I say he's buried in the memorial garden? Amen. Now let us move into a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer. The meditation are the words to a hymn, Winds Be Still, the words written by Richard S. Kimball. Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come. Peace, grace this time with harmony. Fly, bird of hope, and shine, light of love, and in calm let all find tranquility. Bird, fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view. Help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far, and lead us each to see how we move through the winds of eternity. Light, shine in, illuminate our inward view. Help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true so we may join our songs in new sounds that become full symphony. Let us consider these words in a brief time of shared silence. Amen. And until next week, blessed, blessed be.
O star of truth, thou shining through clouds of doubt and fear, I ask beneath thy guidance my pathway may appear. However long the journey, however hard it be, though I be lone and weary, lead on, I follow thee. I know thy blessed radiance can never lead astray, though ancient creed and custom may point another way, or through the untrod desert reckless sea.